Everyone, my name is Summer Stewart. I'm the Assistant Athletic Trainer at Drury University. Today we are going to talk about a case. You have a 19-year-old football player that presents to your training room with a fever that he has had for the past 2 to 3 days. He also reports that his face has begun to swell within the past few days. After you talk to him, you are able to find out that he has also had difficulty chewing and overall feels like he got run over by a truck. So he has headache, muscle soreness, and fatigue. Immediately, I think of differential things and diagnoses that you want to worry about or think about. One, encephalitis. Another one could be a salivary gland is infected or inflamed. 2, they could have an ear infection. 3, they could have had an allergic reaction to something. They could be getting influenza, or they could also, you want to think about meningitis. Based on these different diagnoses, your plan of action, obviously I feel like you would want to get them checked out, whether you sent them to health services or you sent them to your team doctor off campus. If you chose the action of waiting, then that could have consequences, such as you could be potentially infecting other people if it happens to be something serious, such as meningitis, or you could have mumps, or you could also have the flu, and all of these are easily spreadable. You have now sent your athlete to the doctor, and the physician decides to send him for saliva cultures to confirm the suspected diagnosis. The suspected diagnosis was mumps, and once the culture was received, he confirmed it was mumps. The athlete's roommate is also a football player, and you need to worry about reducing the spread of the illness. So in order to eliminate other people getting the disease, you need to place him into quarantine and begin to clean all the surfaces in the athletic training room and instruct the athletes to clean their apartment, more specifically their rooms and stuff. But the case of the athlete that has been diagnosed with mumps, you need him to basically quarantine in his room without being around anyone, unless he obviously has to come out to use the restroom or get food. But in that case, he needs to make sure that he is in a mask or something. Additional precautions that you need to take is you need to make your coaches aware. You need to make the university and your health officials aware, so that you can help to eliminate the spread of the mumps. To make sure that the rest of your athletes on the team are safe from getting it or hoping not to spread it anymore, you need to make sure that you are educating them in practicing good hygiene, hand washing, if they're feeling sick, immediately to get checked out and to let you or your coaches know. Also, they need to make sure that they are very diligent about cleaning surfaces, not sharing water bottles, not sharing food, drinks, or other things. In the case of the parents, you will need to make sure that you give the attached handout to your coaches and have them send it along to the parents. because the parents may not totally understand or be aware, but obviously there's going to be concern. Another thing you need to think about is how many people have actually been vaccinated for the measles, mumps, and rubella. Even if they haven't been vaccinated, it can still be spread, or they can still catch it. Other things that you should look into, or that I would have liked to have known at the beginning of the case, is I would have liked to have known, like, where the athlete maybe thinks that he contracted it, or if he thinks he's been around anyone. I would have also liked to know if he had been vaccinated against it, or if he had been to, any other countries, changed any things or habits that he had been doing, and that may have made my decision on a diagnosis more clearer and not had a wider variety. Now, this wonderful day and age that we are in, let's talk about what if instead of mumps that this athlete had presented with symptoms of coronavirus. We all are doing our best to survive and get through this pandemic. Every day I feel like is a learning experience with coronavirus, because things are changing all the time as far as what to do, how long to quarantine a person, what needs to be done. You have to basically educate your parents and your athletes. They're going to see stuff on the news. They're going to see stuff in each county. Each county is going to be different. Each state's going to be different as far as what rules they have. Each school may be different as far as what rules they follow. I have a case and example right now where my son is actually in quarantine because I had the COVID virus, and the county has let him out of quarantine, but his school will not allow him to come back to school until a few days later. Doing your best to keep everyone educated and in the know helps them, and helps to ease the mind of the parents and the athletes. Things that you should put in place is, reiterate constant hand washing, not gathering in large crowds, not hanging out at parties, not eating out a lot, sticking within your own teams, making sure that if you are sick or feeling sick, that you are getting tested. Because here at Drury, if we have an athlete that is feeling sick or anything, then we can test them right away with a rapid test. And then if, case in point, that it comes back negative, which we've had a couple come back negative, and they still have symptoms, then we go ahead and test them, and we test them again with a PCR test. And we've had some of those that the rapid will show up negative, but the PCR confirmed that they have had the coronavirus. So making sure that you're staying on top of this and continuing to educate the athletes about wearing a mask and being diligent about proper hygiene. And if they do contract it, then trying to make sure they're quarantining to the room and anywhere else that they need to stay away from, such as the roommates, so that they don't spread it.